Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Finance Committee meeting of May 1st, 2023. I want to acknowledge that we are on the traditional territory of the Coast Salish people, including our near neighbors, the Shiano First Nation and the South First Nation. Here in Metchosin, a place we live, work, and play. Please have your cell phones turned off during the meeting. There are two meetings this evening. The first one is the Finance Committee meeting, followed by a council meeting. There will be an opportunity to speak at public participation, both those meetings. If time allows, there will be an opportunity after the council meeting for question period. First on the agenda is additions and approval of the agenda. Are there any additions, committee?
Move adoption.
Move adoption by Mayor Little, seconded by Councillor Shukin. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. This evening we do have a series of presentations, since this is the meeting that we have the grant and aids that are available to organizations. So first we will have, I will call out the different organizations in a list here of applicants. We invite them to come up to the mic. You have 5 minutes to speak, and committee members will have an opportunity to ask questions if they're interested. This year there's a total of $5,000 in funding that has been approved in the financial plan for the 2023 Grant and Aid program. There are 7 organizations that have applied this year. When you come to the mic, please introduce yourself and your organization. And the first organization I'll ask to come to the mic is the African Heritage Association of Vancouver Island. Do we have someone here to represent? Okay, seeing nobody, we'll go to the Capital Bike organization. Anyone from Capital Bike? Intermunicipal Advisory Committee on Disability Issues.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, we certainly can.
Okay. I'm Sandy Jenkins, and I am a chosen citizen rep on IACTI, which is short for the Intermunicipal Advisory Committee on Disability Issues. That committee was established, nonprofit committee was established in 1989, and its main purpose was to liaise with members from West Shore municipalities. All districts could have a rep at the table, and to advocate for people with disabilities. Over the years, Marnie has chaired for most of those years, and provides a great networking and liaison with accessibility groups, and serves as their advocate and link to have their voice heard at municipal councils, and also to provide information, networking, even grant information to municipalities and agencies within the municipalities for accessibility improvements. We, it was said recently, operate on a shoestring, but in fact, IACTI does provide some social gatherings as well as online. We've gone online for Zoom meetings and does have some social music nights online. And during COVID, people with disabilities are very, very vulnerable, and so there hasn't been any social face-to-face meetings. That may change this year. Marnie is requesting, well, the committee is requesting $250 from the chosen district as a grant and aid, and that is to help fund sponsoring and providing transportation in some cases to various music in the park events so that people with disabilities can get out and socialize once again. Our expenses have been primarily office outreach, Zoom, and some sponsorships of online chats and online coffee card giveaways and whatnot during COVID. And so financially our expenses weren't high last year. However, we expect to host a number of community outdoor events where we expect a substantial increase in our expenses. Historically, until COVID, we Matrosen used to sponsor us for a community picnic, and we'd host it, Matrosen would host it on behalf of IAPT and invite all the organizations, the seniors, and people with accessibilities, and we'd have an outdoor picnic behind the fire hall, actually at the market. And if it was raining, we'd use the community house. Any questions?
Committee, anybody have a question for Ms. Jenkins? Mayor Little?
Yeah, just a comment. I was the council liaison, as you know, for the last 4 years with IACTI, and IACTI did provide guidance through Marnie Essery for the renovations of the old school, in terms of the lift, giving guidance on what kind of a lift versus ramp, the size of the door, and it was very helpful. For us to have that information, and it was much appreciated, that kind of advice, and through a lens that the rest of us are not looking through, so we really appreciated it.
Yeah, and that's the benefit of building codes don't say it all when it comes to accessibility, and so having experience and having access to the committee who can get you in touch with the experts about that sort of thing, because I may have been asked directly, but I don't have the knowledge or the expertise, but we can find, and the committee can find the expertise to discuss some of those projects and hopefully get grants for them too. She's good at networking that way. Yeah, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, is there anyone here from the Wanafuka Performing Arts Center Society? Please.
Yes, and may I suggest this lady who's Mr. Attorney for Capital, perhaps you'd like to hear from her first.
Sure, I would like to hear from you at any point in time, absolutely.
I'm sorry, I went to the other part.
Okay,
Just down the road.
no worries.
Hello, thanks for inviting us. Capital. I haven't done this before, so if I don't cover all the bases, I've got 3 minutes.
Yep, you have 5 minutes, and then we'll open up for
Questions. Okay, great. So my name is Lana Taves, and I'm here on behalf of Capital Bike. I have a couple roles. I'm education manager, and I'm also an instructor. And you know why I'm here? We're requesting $500 matching funds. So Capital Bike is a registered charity, and our mission is to get more people biking more places more often. Do I address just you? Just you. Okay. We mostly focus our resources on education and advocacy, celebration events. In fact, today was the Commuter Challenge, and it was also the launch for the 4-week countdown to Go by Bike Week, which starts May 29th. So it was a pretty fun and exciting day. Once again, the vast majority of cyclists beat the motorist commuters in the challenge. But what we're talking about is the Everyone Rides grade 4-5 program. And here in the Chosen Hands, Helgeson is the one elementary school. We were there back in 2 years ago, so 2021. And the ERG 4-5 program is quite wonderful. It's universal, so we've been providing it to grade 4, 5, well, to elementary schools, grade 4 and 5, sometimes grade 3, since 2020. And it brings top quality instructors into the school, into the classroom and into the playground. It's a 2-day program. We visit usually 2 days. And we equip students with the skills and the confidence to ride their bikes. All the training happens on the school ground. Since we started doing this program, we have had 6,500 kids go through the program, and 66 schools since 2020. So it's not just for schools that can afford it, which often happens. I'm a parent of children, and sometimes schools can't access these programs. This is offered to all schools in the capital region. And it's inclusive. We bring in bikes, some 24 bikes and 3 adaptive bikes. So wherever the children are on their cycling adventure, whether they're learning to balance on 2 wheels or they ride all the time, we have something for everyone. At that age, kids often, if they don't know how to ride yet, they learn that day and they can go home and tell their parents or their adults what they learned in school today, which is riding a bike. Very exciting. So it's very inclusive and it's impactful, and I'm speaking from experience because I'm one of the instructors. We have a lot of feedback from the students, from teachers, from administrators about how much they enjoy this program. We can bring it back every 2 years. So it's generally for grades 4 and 5. So in 2 years' time, so at Hans Helgeson, we will be meeting a whole new cohort of students. And you probably had a chance to read some of the feedback, but I will just share one of them for those who haven't read it. This is from a grade 5 teacher at Macaulay Elementary, and they said, "This is the best cycling education for students I have ever been involved in. The traffic, stop signs, and following the rules of the road are so important, not only as a cyclist, but also as a pedestrian. Practicing bike control, how to be safe and prepared were also taught in a fun and engaging way. All of the instructors took the time to learn students' names and were so kind and helpful. It was a huge success, thank you." We often get cards from all of the students. I think maybe I'll leave it at that. If you have any questions, I would be glad to answer to my best.
I do have one question. So when I was learning how to ride a bike and then learned how to drive, rules of the road and being courteous to people were really important,
Yes.
sharing space. So do you teach the students what to say when they're approaching somebody, coming up from behind?
Oh, for sure, yes.
And what is the thing now? Is it ring a bell? Is it call out? Has it changed?
Good question. So often I think a situation that you're referring to would be on a shared pathway where you would most likely be finding other people. Maybe here on your rural roads where I think shoulders are kind of informally designated as shared areas. But we definitely talk about how to pass. In British Columbia, a bell is not the law. It is in Alberta. So a bell is optional, or your voice. But when we talk about bells, and at this age, even with adults, it's a good idea to talk about the difference between a friendly bell and a get out of my way bell. So how to courteously and safely pass. So voice or bell, and slowing down, letting them know. The courteous bell would be to ring it before you're actually approaching somebody, slowing down, giving them space, not requiring anybody to move in order for you to make that pass, because we teach them pedestrians always have the right of way. It's a great question.
We also have a very lengthy linear trail, the Golden Goose Trail.
Yes.
And it is multi-use, and there are different walkers,
Yeah.
pedestrians, dog walkers, other cyclists, equestrians. So that is one that, especially through COVID, we saw a lot of use on that trail because it's a main corridor connecting us to other neighborhoods and then up to Souk as well.
Right down from my house in Saanich too, yes.
Yeah, so it's quite long. So I found in my own experience, there are some variables. So I was just wondering what the appropriate was, whether it was to call out or not.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that is actually one of the rules of the trail, is, and I'll quiz kids on whether they know the rules, but it's to alert others when you're passing. Yeah. It's interesting you asked that because as an instructor, I've been thinking a lot personally about the importance of courtesy on the roads. I think the other end of courtesy is road rage. So courtesy is really important in terms of safety, and we do focus on that a lot in this age group.
Thank you. Anyone from the committee have some questions? Mayor Little?
Well, thank you for the presentation, and I enjoyed reading the information that you provided, so thank you. Midchosen is going to be involved in developing a transportation plan, an active transportation plan as well, and I'm just wondering, does Capital Bike offer services if we were to develop it, and we are going to be developing it, to have it run by you in terms of getting your feedback?
Yes, that's a really timely question as well. That's not something I'm directly involved in. If you went to our website though, I think right after the elections, we sent out information to all the municipalities about something road plan. I don't know if it was the 2030 road plan or the road plan to active something about a road plan.
Okay.
And I think we sent that package out to all municipalities, and I will make a note,
okay,
and I'll check with our executive director, Adam Cooper, and make sure that Midchosen received one.
We can reach out to Adam as well. That's
For
great.
sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're
Thanks for
welcome.
that.
Just point of clarification or information. I think you said you've done this program that you're going to bring to Hans Helgeson to 6,500 kids in the CRD?
Yeah.
Oh. And that is just in the
Ballpark.
CRD? Ballpark.
Yeah.
Good
Yeah.
luck.
Yeah, 65, 66 schools. Here's my notes. 66 schools since 2020, and some 6,500 students. In fact, this morning at the Commuter Challenge, Rob Fleming, his name almost escaped me, was referring to this particular program because it's not just in Capital Region. It started in Vancouver, and it's in the Kootenays, and it's in the Okanagan, and I don't know what exactly the numbers are, but it's in the many thousands. And in fact, now there's a middle school program that we just piloted at a school last week, and it's very exciting to think about that kind of continuity of education. ERG 4.5, as I mentioned, just stays on the school ground, and the middle school program has a road ride at the end of it, which is a lot of fun.
Very cool.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Sorry I missed my...
No, it's okay.
Okay, is somebody from Midchosen Preschool here? Sorry?
Who's the one to do the performing arts fest?
I'm with one, if you could.
Okay, sure. Mr. Stocks?
You're welcome. My name is David. I'm with the Wanda Fuca Performing Arts Center Society. We call ourselves PACS. We're determined to provide a performing arts center and home for the arts generally on the West Shore. We think this, we're not against hockey rinks. We think hockey rinks are good. Arts and culture are good too. We're asking for a grant and aid to help us fund an expert study of accessibility and inclusivity in the design of the new Performing Arts Center. It could be considered to be part of the architectural study for the whole thing, but we thought it would be good to get a head start on the architecture by doing this particular study. And we need expert help. And thank you, by the way, for the opportunity to address you. But obviously, my request is that this committee would recommend to council that you approve the grant and aid. I'd like to bring forward 3 ideas. The first idea, which I'm sure Ms. Jenkins is very familiar with, is from Rick Hansen, the man in motion. And he said that my disability is I can't use my legs. My handicap is that society does not accept or tolerate or allow for my disability. We want to fix that. We want our Performing Arts Center to accommodate disabilities of all kinds. For the audience members, from the time they pull up to the center, get through the doors, through the box office, maybe use the washrooms, find their seats, whether they're in a wheelchair, blind, crutches, canes, whatever. We also want to accommodate disabilities for the performers. So the back of stage, how do they get backstage? How wide are the passageways from left wings to right wings? That kind of thing. The washrooms, the green rooms, the facilities, the dressing rooms, and that for performers who are in a wheelchair or blind or whatever. And then there's the people that work there. There's going to be dozens of people working there every day, and their needs should be accommodated as well, in our view. The second idea is the standards for accommodation of disabilities have changed in my lifetime. I remember, I think, many decades ago, when accommodation for disabilities meant that the theater would take out a couple of seats and put in a flat surface where 2 or 3 or 4 wheelchairs could be lined up. So if someone came in a wheelchair, they could be there and their friends and family would be somewhere else. I prefer that there was accommodation for wheelchair maybe at the end of every second or third row. So a person in a wheelchair could have to enjoy the experience in the company of their friends and family. Those kinds of standards are always being augmented, and we'd like to ensure that our design accommodates new standards. And then there's inclusivity. What we intend there is that nobody, audience, performer, or worker, will be insulted or belittled or made to feel inferior by anything that is visible in the center or things that are said or done. We would like to have, I see your paddle. My Rotary Club has one too, made by Russ Chips. They're lovely things. So we want people to feel included. We have had First Nations people, by the way, on our committee, and they want to, at one point they wanted to guest the coffee shop and the gift store. My third idea is about the value to the people, the good people who were chosen, many of whom are gathered here today, I see. We're asking for $300. And let me suggest that if a few cars from Machosen could transfer, instead of going downtown to the Royal and McPherson, could stop in the West Shore, that the citizens of Machosen would gain that $300 every month, forever. Thank you for listening. I do hope that you will recommend our grant and aid to council, and of course, I'm available for questions.
Anyone from the committee have some questions? Mary?
It's not really a question. I just was out at the Mary Winspear Center yesterday for a performance, and while it is an absolutely gorgeous theater, there's no provision for wheelchairs or walkers. They are jammed in a little space between the first row of seats and the stage, and it's not a very big space. And so it was really, I thought, wow, that's some really poor planning on their part.
Not good enough, am I right?
Yes, you're right.
Not good enough.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Mary Lou?
So thank you for that. I was just wondering, are you going to be reaching out to members of the IACTI community?
Members of the...
Of the Intermunicipal Action Committee on Disability Issues, the committee that Sandy Jenkins was representing this evening.
I see no reason why we wouldn't. What we are attempting to accomplish now is an intermunicipal guidance committee, which I hope the Chosen would be part of, for many things, primarily the location. West Shore is big-ish, and perhaps Chosen would be kind enough to have someone on that committee dealing with the disability committee. We need expert help. I'm not expert on either accessibility or inclusivity, and that's why we're having a study, a $30,000 study. We've issued a request for proposals to 5 firms, to which, to our knowledge, are competent to do such a study. whether they might suggest that we do that, exactly as you suggest, Your Worship.
I believe there is connection between the Performing Arts Society and IACT. There is a connection there, and we are part and parcel to your presentations, and so they have to show.
Thank you. Thank you.
Anyone else? No? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, my chosen preschool.
Hello, thank you for having me today. So my name is Katie Cord. My daughter attends the chosen preschool, and I'm the second vice president at the preschool. The chosen preschool strives to be a very supportive, nurturing, community and family-focused preschool. It provides a really high-quality preschool education with parental support at a really low cost. So it's very accessible to people. They have very low numbers of enrolment and very high teacher-children ratio. So I say education, but the learning through play that the children have is very high quality. And one of the best things about it is it's one of maybe 6 co-op preschools within the Greater Victoria area. So the co-op preschool means it's run by the parents. And the parents also get to volunteer within the preschool. So for me, I've been involved in 2 co-op preschools, and there's such a fantastic way to be involved in their children's lives. Like, I know what she does at school. With my kid, I've got no idea what she does at school. So having a co-op preschool in the chosen is a wonderful, wonderful thing. The kids are aged between 2.5 and 4, and they spend their time inside and outside. They also do excursions in the community. I was lucky enough to ride in one of your fire trucks, which was a lot of fun. And they've been to the Sea Bluff Farm. This is my first real immersion to the chosen, being part of this preschool, and I've got to say, you kind of won me over as a community. Like, it's been really lovely. We're here today to ask for some funds to help with our outdoor area. Outdoor play is a big part of preschool life. They start the day there and they end the day there. So we're looking for funds to buy more gravel, more sand for the sand pit, a tarp for the sand pit, and then just a few repairs to the box that the sand's in. We have to make sure the outside play area is up to a certain standard for licensing. I won't get into how many inches it's got to be, but there's a specific amount, and so we just look to make sure that our outdoor is looking as great as it can be, because the outdoor space that preschool has is one of the best outdoor areas that I've seen at a preschool. It's really special. Yeah, that's it. If you've got any questions, I'd like to hear them. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you. Committee, any questions? No?
So,
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And Royal Canadian Legion, Branch 91, Mr. Walker.
Thank you for inviting me. For those who don't know me, my name is Richard Walker. I'm the first Vice President of Branch 91 with the Legion in Langford. So our mission statement is, and for those that aren't familiar with the Legion, is to serve veterans, including serving military and the RCMP, and their families. Can't forget their families. We also promote remembrance and to serve our communities and our country. And to that end, every year we've been putting on a community Christmas dinner for the needy and homeless of the Western communities. So for this dinner, all the work is done by volunteers of the branch and the community. And that means anybody who wants to volunteer for this, get a hold of us and we'll put your name down. So each year we provide each guest with a delicious Christmas dinner and present them with a bag containing everything they need to prepare for a Christmas dinner on Christmas Day. We purchase toys so that each child is given an age-appropriate gift. For some, it will be their only Christmas gift. So for 2023, the need is great, if not greater, as we've all seen. There's a lot of chaos out there. We're looking at approximately 300 or more people attending the dinner for 2023. And we can make this a better Christmas for the less fortunate in our community. And so we're coming to you with a request for funding. We have a total budget of $6,500 and we're asking for a grant of $350. And that's it. Any questions?
Any questions, committee? I do have one question. How long have you been doing the Christmas dinner?
At least 4 years now.
Okay.
We were still doing it during COVID, and it was done as a drive-through, which was kind of neat. You know, nobody actually got to sit down for obvious reasons. They'd come in and get the hot food, you know. And Santa and Mrs. Claus would hand out presents, which is really good. Unfortunately, the really good Santa Claus that we have, he has to do a Santa Claus thing over in the mainland. Even has a red truck, and he looks like Santa Claus, trust me.
That's great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Sorry, was that 4 years or 40 years? You said.
Oh, for the dinner?
Christmas dinner, 4 years or?
Four,
Thank you.
yeah, not 40, no. Well, no, that'd be before my time.
Okay, do we have someone here from the Vancouver Island South Film and Media Commission?
Good evening, committee. I am not Kathleen Gilbert, just putting it out there. I'm Edison Kahakawilla, I'm a chosen resident, and I've served on the Film Commission board now for about 12 years. So I am filling in for the request for assistance and funding, which is an annualized process in the region with our 13 districts. And this is to assist again in what we do with film. We try to enhance film between the directors and people that are not from this region, and to make it easier so that we can provide what we need to provide for licensing, insurance, and parking and venues. And if Chosen is such a great place to have film here. And I think, if I recall, I saw some unique flags here last year. So I know that we try our best to spread our goodwill around the region. And with that also comes the type of jobs that people seek. And it is also very environmentally friendly, and it's something that really helps people feel good about what they do. It's a very people-oriented business. And again, we get funding from every part of the region, and so it's just something that we do. Any questions?
So we've had a few film companies coming to Majosen in the last half a dozen years for sure. How does your organization connect with them? Do you represent?
We send
different-
packages out, so
Okay.
when a producer is interested in a certain storyline that may require a location like ourselves, we send out packages, and it would include places like North Sanish, Central Sanish, and the Chosen, because those looks are very, very similar. And then what happens is then they get hold of our office, and we go further, and sometimes we'll do site visits. So we'll bring people out to the countryside, and then they all sit there and go, I fall in love with that. And once that's done, everything's easy.
Any questions, committee? Councillor Gray?
And when, in terms of it talks about significant direct spending in the district, what kind of chosen as a result of people coming? Is it rental of the venues or parking, or what's?
Well, while we don't actually have direct, like, actual calculated numbers, because those are usually private between, let's say, vendors and the actual film itself. But having said that, we do know that churches are utilized quite often. I know the district hall was utilized. I know that personal venues get utilized. I know the cafe was as well. So it does bring direct spend into the district of Chosen.
Thanks.
Anything else, committee? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, I think that is everybody, unless somebody came in late that I didn't see.
Anybody from the Museum Society?
Do we have anybody here from the Museum Society? And anyone from the African Heritage Association that arrived? No? Okay, thank you. Okay, so now is the time where we have public participation. So is there anybody from the community that would like to come up to the mic, state your name and the street in which you live? You have 4 minutes to speak to the committee.
My name is Gary Smurford, and I live on Gilbert Drive here in Metchosin. I'm speaking about the grant and aid program applications that you've received. The Intermunicipal Advisory Committee on Disability Issues. They were the impetus in the late 1980s for the modifications to sidewalks and curbs to allow wheelchairs, and it was a big change in our communities out here in the Western community. They also were the impetus for having bus stops being ramped up so that the people that required that extra elevation to get into the bus could use it. I think groups like that are really important to our community to come forward, and they highlight the needs of a part of our community that often gets overlooked in designs. The second thing I wanted to speak about was the application that you've received from the African Heritage Association. I have some questions regarding it. The application, if you turn to your page 11, the logo at the top of it is the logo of Metchosin Search and Rescue. That baffled me in reading the agenda. And then when I went to item 8 on page 12, they list the objectives of this group that's asking for $2,750. Their objectives are really great, but if they're approved, then I believe you're going to set a precedent for every group that feels that they want to foster a sense of community among these people, the Ukrainians, the Polish, the Scottish, the English, all of that. And the goals are just promoting that group, promoting the sense of community among Africans, promote the provision of the best possible services for Africans, promote the cultural developments of its members and African awareness, facilitate communications between its members and between its members and organizations, promote the interests of all its members. They're all lofty goals, but I question whether, and I hope I'm not being considered racist here with that, but if you accept that as something that the taxpayers of Metchosin should be funding, then I think you could be looking at setting precedent for 101 groups of people that have a special ethnic, racial, whatever you want, group that's a lot different than what our grounds have traditionally been for. Thank you.
Thank you. Just a note of clarification or a follow-up. I did actually contact the Metchosin Search and Rescue, and they are not familiar with the organization or the representatives that were listed on the applicants. So I'm not certain how that logo got mixed up. The rest of the information was pertinent to the same application for the grant and aid that we have, the form. So don't know if that was just internet random or what it was, but I did follow up to find out. And unfortunately, there's no representative here this evening to get any further answers, but Search and Rescue aren't aware of this group. Anyone else from the community would like to speak?
My name is Colin Sparks, 1035 Liberty Drive. I have a question sort of about towards the budget/financing of the chosen. I'm wondering if any money is going to be set aside towards putting dividers on certain corners of the roads, like for example Rocky Point Road. Many corners there, large vehicles with their boats going to, I think it's Petterday it's called, who drive there and back, often aren't aware of their surroundings and the off-track way beyond the fog line. So anyone cycling or walking there would be rather screwed, to put it lightly. So I'm wondering if any money is being put aside to put some safety infrastructure to protect some people on those corners. Thank you.
Councillor Eck, would you be able to maybe answer that? Seeing that it's Public Works?
As far as I know, with the cuts, there was no extra money for things like that in the budget this year.
Okay. Councillor Schuken?
Sure. Did we not, though, approve, some budget for painting? And as part of that, wasn't there budget allocation for the, safety markers in the roads? Two different things?
The recessed cat eyes.
Cat eyes, thank you.
Yeah,
There was discussion about that, but there's discussion about a lot of things, so I don't recall.
Ms. Ternesky, can you help us?
So in the budget item, those two items are budgeted together, one line item. So the plan is to prioritize the painting first, and if there's any, hopefully the costs will be what we expect it to be, and then if that's the case, then we can expect to have those cat eyes installed.
Great, thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else have any comments or questions they'd like to bring forward? Seeing none, we'll move on to the next part of our agenda. Adoption of the minutes, page 9. Finance Committee, April 3rd, 2023. We have a motion to move.
So moved.
And moved by Councillor Schuken, second by Councillor Gray. All in favor? Carried, thank you. And on page 13, Special Finance Committee Budget Meeting, April 3rd, 2023.
sorry.
Move adoption.
Moved by Councillor Schuken, second by Councillor Gray. Questions? All in favor? Carried, thank you. And on page 17, Special Finance Committee Budget Meeting of April 13th, 2023. There is one change I would like Recording Secretary to have a look at. On page 19, Section 5, Adjournment. It says we started the meeting at 10 a.m. and we adjourned at 10:52 p.m. Could we have that changed to a.m., please? We did have one long meeting, but it wasn't that long. So could I have a motion to move?
So moved as amended.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor Schuken, second by Councillor F. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. And then on page 20.
Councillor Donaldson.
Yes, sorry.
Excellent reading on two accounts, and you've done very close reading and good follow-up. So good work.
Thanks. I have people that tell me what to do sometimes too. Thanks. Sorry. Receipt of minutes. So page 21. This would be the Agricultural Advisory Select Committee meeting of April 6, 2023. Just wanted to point out here that on page 22, in the Chosen Producer's Guide, for those of you who may or may not have already, the Muse came out last week. It's also online. There's a colorful feature on the center page of the May issue, and it is of the farmers who put together a little bit about their farms. Some of them decided to have information on a map and some not on a map. The committee is hoping that in the future they will have a website, and the idea is to promote, it'll be a component to this guide that you saw in the Muse, in the hopes of drawing more people from outside of Metchosin for shopping Metchosin-grown local food, which is a high-quality food source for the West Shore and beyond. So just another way of advertising, letting people know that we do have great food here, growing in our ground, and grazers and all sorts of great stuff. This Metchosin Farmers Market will be starting, I believe they're opening up on the 10th, which is Mother's Day, so a couple weeks. That'll be happening as well. So can I have a motion to receive the minutes for the Advisory Committee of April 6th? Moved by Mayor Little, seconded by Councillor Gray. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. And on page 25, Councillors' update. Okay, so just quickly, the committee has finalized the open house and hosted the open house, had the first, second, and third readings of the budget with a lot of input from staff in all departments and constructive input both from those departments and resident feedback, so appreciate that. Many hours of council deliberations were the essence of creating this document, and I appreciate the public engagement we've had both online from the live stream, emails, letters, and people speaking at all the different meetings that we've hosted since January. The buffer working group has just started their meetings. The foundational work is beginning now. There'll be a site visit soon and some mapping to look at. Public engagement meeting will be happening, I believe, next week, the 9th?
The 9th.
9th at 7 p.m. here in the chambers. Earth Day, we as a council got together at Willing Park with the Bilston Watershed Habitat Protection Association and did some bramble bashing. There might be a little bit of broom there. Langford Council was planting trees in the park. We were near the creek. The creek is very integral to Metchosin. It flows all the way through our whole community and empties into Wiggs Lagoon, so it's important for us to take care of these invasive species. West Shore Parks and Recreation, which I'm a member of their board and representing Metchosin, we actually are one of the 5 owners. They had, first time ever, an outdoor adventure show. Went there with my son. It was quite interesting. They had fly fishing and archery. They did have some RV camping in its tents. Hiking and different emergency supplies, even something called a life straw, which my son explained to me is a water bottle with a straw mechanism inside that filters water. And it's not just a filter for making the water taste better, but takes care of things like bacteria and parasites, chemicals, pesticides, and microplastics. So it's an interesting mechanism to be having in your backpack if you're out in the backwoods. There is a new program called No Jiu-Jitsu. No means not having to have G, which is the kimono that they wear. So this is a Brazilian type of martial art, and it's open to everybody, so you're not restricted with having a uniform. And it allows you to grab the clothing of your opponent and to control and submit them. You don't wear the traditional uniform, like I say. Instead, you just wear shorts and a t-shirt. And they do have drop-in sessions, so if anybody's interested in trying something new, that is available. Very exciting to report that the skateboard park will have their grand opening on the 13th from 1 to 3, and I invite everybody to go down and have a good look. There are users right now that are skateboarding throughout the, I don't know what you call them, bowls, and I'm going to have to learn the lingo, but I've been watching them build it. It's quite amazing. So please do go down there a week Saturday afternoon and have a look. It's a pretty happening place. What else do we have? The AVICC convention, which 3 of us were able to attend this last month. We had some interesting events to be able to partake in. So we kind of split it up with the three of us so we could bring back more information and some, I wouldn't say expertise, but things that would benefit our community here. One of the ones I went on was an amenity tour about affordable housing plans and different recreational partnerships that they had, similar to what we've seen here in the CRD, where municipalities will partner up with some of the schools and share fields and that sort of thing. So that was quite fascinating to see what they're doing. They also had a skate park, and the day we were there, they were grappling with taking some of the graffiti down. So these are some things that we've talked about at West Shore as well, how we're going to manage that sort of thing. The resolution assemblies were quite fascinating. There was a board of 4 people, and one of them was a parliamentarian to make sure the policies and procedures were followed. And I have to say, it was, we do Robert's rules here, but there it is wild. We had a mic with the pros and a mic with the cons, and the debate was very, very engaging. To one point, with one of the resolutions that we had, the whole motion got changed. It got split up into 2, and part of it got dropped, and another one got taken up and passed, and it'll be going to UBCM. So it was fascinating to watch the action and all the different communities on this island and the coast come together and speak of things that are really important in their communities. Qualicum had a resolution about eliminating Scotch broom, and it actually has passed to go on to the next level, which will be at UBCM. So that'll be interesting to see what we can learn from that. And another thing that is coming up soon is the Sarah Beckett Memorial Fundraiser, which will also be on the 13th, the morning of the 13th, so that'll be a very busy day. Anyone that's looking to do some volunteering, they are certainly needing some help. And anyone that would like to walk or run, or virtually walk or run, they do have a website. So this is a great fundraiser. It's I encourage the community to get outside and be active with them. The starting point is Starlight Stadium in the West Hills area. And I believe that Councillor Shukin, Mayor Little, and myself will be in attendance. And our other 2 councillors, Councillor Epp and Gray, will be rooting us on from the chosen side. Okay, so that is the councillor's update.
Do you sleep at all?
Pardon me?
So do you sleep at all?
Sometimes, yes. It's a very exciting job, this job, I have to say. I spent a lot of years as a volunteer in our community here, and now I've been successful, and obviously people have the faith to vote us here at this table, and it's been really interesting. There's a lot to learn all the time, and people are keeping me on my toes, as I think they are with my cohorts. So thank you for coming tonight. Thank you. May I ask for an adjournment to this meeting, please? Mayor Little, moved by Mayor Little, second by Councillor Shukin. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. So that is all for the Finance Committee agenda this evening. The next meeting